I want to talk a little bit of one of my favorite stocks, Hallador Energy. And this is a company that I've known for a number of years. It has been until the last 3 years a coal mining company in Indiana. And one of the reasons I got interested in it, which is kind of based on my overall philosophy of investing, is that the coal mining industry is, those of you know who have any knowledge of global warming or the environmental movement, has been one of the most disabused and negative industries that we have. And therefore, the stocks of companies like Hallador have been at very, very low levels, even when, as was the case in Hallador a few years ago, despite its low price, the company was financially strong and doing very well. However, in the last 3 years, Hallador has done something which I think potentially is a spectacular value, and that is that they bought a power company fueled by coal in Indiana, which is linked right to the electricity grid in the Midwest, the Midwestern grid. And what this means is that they are selling power over the grid to power users in something like 8 or 10 states, and this has gone to the point where they've actually changed their business almost totally from being a coal miner to being a power producer, and most of their increasing amounts of their revenues are coming from selling power over the grid. The stock is intriguing to me because they have put together already enormous numbers of customers who are taking the power. Unfortunately, for earnings, most of those customers are the company, the utility in Indiana that sold them the power plant, because what they did is, okay, we will sell you this power plant. In return, we will be getting most of the power that you produce at a low cost. So they really can't make much money doing that until January 1 of 2026. At that point, the company has announced they already have important orders that are contracted to buy power at much higher prices, so that my estimate for Hallador's earnings in 2026 is at least $2 a share, and the stock is selling at 13. On top of that, they recently announced that they're in serious negotiations with I believe it's unnamed, but a major data center builder. I guess where data centers are, as I'm sure you know, enormous users of more power down the road. And under this agreement, which was announced by the company, the data center is paying as much as $5 million to have the exclusive negotiation with Hallador to take the remaining, most of their additional power, starting in January 1, 2026. And if this data center negotiation with Hallador is successful, the majority of their incremental power that's currently available would go for as much as 10 years at good prices to this data center. In that case, my estimate for the earning power starting in 2026 could be anywhere between $3 to $5 a share. And obviously, in my opinion, in that situation, Hallador would be selling at several times, maybe $40, $50 a share a year from now, a year and a half from now. But the market is very intriguing at this point because, and I've talked about this before, situations where the opportunity to make a big killing are there, but they're delayed by, in this case, like a year. Most people invested in the market don't pay any attention to it, which is one reason why Hallador, despite these announcements, really has not moved much in the last little while on an overall basis. Now, that's intriguing to me because I think part of the reason that this is the case is Hallador, hey, the stock is worth several $100 million, but in today's market, that's too small to get much research coverage. So no brokers, to my knowledge, are talking about Hallador, except for the very great newsletter, Grant's Interest Rate Observer, who brought this situation to my attention several years ago, and more recently, earlier in 2024, talked about this new power focus on the company. And so I'm recommending that people buy the stock, but on what I'm calling a scale up. In other words, I would say maybe buy, if you want to buy 1,000 shares of the stock at currently at 13, don't buy 1,000 shares now, buy 100 shares. And then if the stock goes from 13 to 14, maybe buy another 100 shares, and so on and so forth. The reason for doing it that way is that if you have, which I think is quite possible, a major decline in the stock market in the next few months, and remember the stock market by many measures is at very high levels. The price to book value, which I pay a lot of attention to, which normally until the 1990s was in a range of 1 times book value to 3 times book value, is now, depending upon the market, at 4 or even 5 times book value, which in part is due to our how many of the large mutual funds and investors are enamored with I'm sure you've heard of as the Magnificent Seven, companies like NVIDIA and Apple and Microsoft, that in my opinion are extremely overpriced. And so those stocks are pumping up the market to high levels, which I think it's quite possible could be down significantly if we get a stock market to decline. Well, if that happens in the next few months, you could get Hallador maybe going from 13 back down to, I don't know, 8 or 9, where it's been within the last year, and nothing happens to the long-term potential of 2026, but you don't want to have any of your money locked in now. So if that starts to happen, then let's say the stock, you buy the 100 shares at 13, and it not only doesn't go up in June or July, whatever the time period is, but starts going down, heck, hey, maybe even you sell your 100 shares, you haven't lost much, and then when we get closer to 2026, you've got an even better chance to buy Hallador and make a lot of money. So that's my focus. The other thing I would say, which intrigues me also about Hallador, I don't know the answer to this one, is they have in their power plant, I think it's like 3 power plants, all using either coal or natural gas, but the opportunity is could be so great that it well could be, as I said, I don't know the answer to this, a chance for Hallador to build more of these power plants right in the same location, which uses the connection to the grid, and so that could be another reason for seeing the stock at a certain point to be even more than 40 or 50 from next year's earnings. So those are my thoughts on the company, and a reason why it's one of the stocks that we like very much.